There's never been a better time to have SiriusXM. With over 140 channels in your vehicle, your all-access trial includes more than ever before to enjoy online, on your phone, or at home. Create your own ad-free personalized stations powered by Pandora. Hear ad-free extra channels and enjoy favorite shows with SiriusXM Video on Demand. What you love is on now.
Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in to this lunchtime learning session here on CMA Connected, presented by SiriusXM. I'm your host, Ben Wu, and you might have noticed a quick little teaser we just played there in the beginning of this episode. That's a brand new event. We just made the announcement today. It's called Fall Workshops. It's a training event for all you dealers out there. It's going to be a 7-day event. You definitely want to go to CanadianMobileAudio.com, check out all the details. We've got 7 days, 6 different themes. So each day is a different theme. And today, it ties in nice because the guest that we have on for our Connected today will certainly be present and giving you some training to get your learn on, especially on the final days, which is the DSP training day. So on that note, let's go ahead and dig in because today it's all about top of the range. It's about ultimate. It's about audiophile. It's about, no expense whatsoever. This is a show, if you guys are into the absolute out of this world, no compromise type of stuff, this is going to be the show for you. Why? Because we're talking about Brax, top of the range, high-end stuff from Audiotec Fischer. And when we talk about Audiotec Fischer in Canada, of course, we're talking about mobile solutions of Canada/America. And with that is Mr. Larry Penn. How are you, sir?
Great, Ben. How are you doing today?
I'm doing really well. Did I
Awesome.
say that right? Top of the range, no compromise, ultimate. These are all keywords.
Yeah, every time we get to interact with this product, it truly is something special, and not only for the customer but for us. Being a product geek since I was a kid, it just doesn't get any better than this. It's top of the range is definitely what
I love. Top of the range. I love, not that I don't, because I love talking about every, as you know, and you've commented before, like, Ben, how do you stay excited on so many different things within 12 volt? And I do, but I'm not going to lie. I get giddy and really like a kid when it comes to stuff that I can't afford. Absolutely. This is this is what it's all about. This is what we aspire to, obtain at one point in our lives, careers, whatever you want to call it. So, Brax. So Brax, just for the folks tuning in who may be watching this live or on demand, is the highest end when it comes to products from Audiotec Fischer. Could you expand on that, please?
Yes, absolutely. So Audiotec Fischer is a company out of Germany, and they manufacture products under the Brax name, being their #1 and original lineup. We also have the Helix product with all the DSP technology, and then Match, which is our OEM integration and systems, let's call it that. So Brax is really where the company got it started. Heinz Fischer, the father, and for those of you who don't know, Audiotec Fischer to this day, 30 years later, is still a family-run organization. So Heinz is the leader and the originator and the engineer of the family. Gudrun, his wife, handles all of the business end of things, and Julian, who is the son, is an amazingly talented digital kind of thinking guy, and that's why and he's the leader and the driving force on the DSP side. So what this has allowed Brax to do is use good old-fashioned analog, old school, big power supplies, Class AB amplification, but filter in some of the new digital technology. You see just over this shoulder. The
don't
Brax
think I didn't
DSP.
see what you have behind you. We're going to get to that in a second, sir.
So the first Brax amplifier that was introduced was way back in 1997.
Can I stop you there for a second?
Yeah.
Just help me understand, because when I see that logo and I hear that name Brax, that throws me back in the day, these really high-end capacitors that I saw showing up in like competitor vehicles. Is this the same company that we're talking about?
That's how the company got started.
Okay.
So over some good old German beer, Heinz explained to Chris and I how the company got started. And he was building home audio amplifiers. And home audio amplifiers, 90% of the amplifier is the power supply.
Mm-hmm.
So his friends at that time were into car audio, and he was looking at the power supplies and these amplifiers, and he goes, guys, this isn't going to work. There's just so many things wrong with this. So then he designed the Brax cap, and that is still to this day built in Germany with specific technology specific to Audiotec Fischer. There's a capacitor manufacturer. Some of you audiophile tech geeks will no doubt have heard the term Moondorf or brand Moondorf capacitors. That's one of the brands that uses this German capacitor manufacturer to build, and we use them as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because
not only
pretty
for
much the first time I seen that even applied in that situation was that Brax capacitor.
Yes.
So, okay, cool. I just need to connect those dots. Please continue.
Yes. So after that, the power supply and the power cap was such a important thing that he says, man, we can build an amplifier. So it was about 7 years of development before the first amplifier came out, and that was in 1997. It was released. And the cool thing, and we really got to understand how this company thinks, because in the world of consumer electronics, it's what's new this year. Okay, that's old now. We got 2022 coming up, and whatever happened in 2021 doesn't matter. These guys don't do that, because the GX series of amplifiers that we see today, the GX 2400 and the GX 2000, still exist today. That is the evolution of the first amplifier introduced in 1997. And what's unique about that is, even though it's the same amplifier, like let's look at a Porsche 911. And I say 911 because there's 992s today and 991s and 997s and 993s, but you still know it's a 911 when it goes down the road.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really important to Heinz with the Brax product, is to make sure a client that bought an amplifier 20 years ago can still add on to that amplification with the new one and have a family look still, and know that, oh, that's a GX series amplifier from Brax. Now, it's gone through 10 technology updates during that time. So if they can find a better way to do things, if they can find an improvement in sound quality by changing out some components, they're going to do that. And the other cool part of that is, because of this design, they know it's stable, they know it's rock solid. All Brax components carry a lifetime warranty to the original owner. So when you buy a Brax component, it's like buying a Rolex watch or a Porsche GT car. It's something special.
Even a Porsche GT won't give you a lifetime warranty. Just saying.
No, but it's that feeling.
Absolutely.
And we were talking to Julian, Chris, and I this week, and they just fixed an amplifier that was 20 years old and did all the technology updates to it and sent it back to the client.
Wow.
So that's special to me, because we hang our hat. The MSE brand is our brand, and with our relationship with Audiotec Fischer, that makes me feel totally comfortable knowing that we can take care of our clients in that same manner.
That's a lot of confidence to pass on to your customers. You know what I mean?
Yes.
To dealers who are engaged with this line.
Yeah. So everything is produced in Germany, 100%. And I don't know if you had any shots there, Ben, of
I
the
do.
the Mx4 Pro. If we just pull up a shot of that, I want to give you an example on the
We're talking
building
about
of
the
that amplifier.
amplifiers?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, so that's a beauty shot. We can show the internals of the Mx4. Yeah, there we go. So the Mx4 typically in amplifier designs, and there's many ways to do it. We can go get an amplifier completely produced by a factory for us. If we wanted to do Ben and Larry's amplifiers, we could go
Not
get
sure if anybody would buy that brand, Ben and Larry. I don't know.
but it'd have your picture on it, dude. It would be
Oh,
hugely
stop.
successful. So we could go to a factory and buy an off-the-shelf design and put our logo on it, and away we go. That's not the case with Brax, and not the case with any Audiotec Fischer products. But for instance, this amplifier has over 1,700 individual components in there. And we buy parts from specific manufacturers. There's over 50 manufacturers that we use to produce the specific parts in that amplifier. So we look at the power supply toroids under that beautiful chrome finish. That's an aluminum cap, polished aluminum cap, that has been specifically engineered for us, with the toroid that's inside that cap specifically engineered for us from a wire. The wire used in the toroid is specifically designed for this amplifier, and the core that we use for the toroid is specifically designed for this amplifier. So it's just a huge labor of love. So it takes about 5 to 7 years to develop a Brax product from idea to first one shipping. So it's totally thought out. Everything is engineered in there.
I mean, who does chrome on the inside of an amplifier?
Well, that's just the beauty part of it. But what's underneath that chrome aluminum cap is the important part. That's what makes our product. The idea of Brax amplification is nothing changes the sound, nothing colors the sound. It's just straight gain. That's all we want that amplifier to do. And that's the way the MX series amplifiers were designed, is absolute purity.
That is the audiophile way.
Yes.
You know what I mean? As pure and clean in and out as possible, and only do what you need to do, which is amplify.
Yeah.
Right.
Now, there's going to be some people out there, really, does that matter? That amplifier, Ben, has a $8,500 retail in Canada. Can you hear the difference?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Can you hear the difference? Absolutely, you can. Does our $1,000 amplifier in the Helix range still sound really good? Absolutely, it sounds real good. But this Brax is designed for the person that wants the absolute best. And whether we can argue whether you can hear the difference or not hear the difference, what we can't argue about is the build quality and the componentry inside this amplifier is the best possible chance to get the best possible performance. Just like you're not going to drive a GT2 RS at full throttle all the time, but you know the power is there, you know the performance is there, and you enjoy it. It's a pride of ownership.
Yeah, not everybody buys a vehicle like that is because they're tracking it 3 times a week.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
The joy of ownership and knowing what you paid for. 100%.
And so if we go back into that development phase, typically a product is developed with a target price in mind. So marketing would go to the engineering department and say, hey, we need to build this amplifier. It's got to have a target retail of $800 or $900. Go for it. Here's what we need it to do. With all the Brax product, there is no target price indicated. It's here's the idea, here's a product we need, just build, and I can't stress this enough because it's been ingrained in our heads from the German factory, just build it the best possible way we know how to build it, period.
Whatever it costs.
Right. You know, there's certain things like in our Brax DSP, we're using AKM A to Ds and D to A's in there, and we're not using the newest, latest, greatest AKM chip, but what we did find when we did test that to see if there was an ability to make our product sound better, but it didn't. We actually, in our design, that AKM chip is just one part of the whole design of the Brax DSP. So understanding, and just as a side note for that, when we built our first Brax DSP, we had the Audio Precision, the APX 515 as our test equipment. The product was better than the test equipment could measure. So we actually had to go out and buy the 555, which is a €45,000 analyzer to analyze the product that we built that outperformed the old 515. So kind
It's
of
like having a car too strong for the dyno.
exactly. Yeah, that's an exact comparison to that. So it's pretty interesting on how we develop products and how that life cycle happens.
And I don't know if there was in your plan to talk about this, but I see it already. Any great brand, especially in audio, innovates, engineers, top of the range, and hopefully that technology, those design cues, and that DNA trickles down into the intermediate to entry level stuff. And that's what the buy-in is, right? From a dealer standpoint, is that you're partnering with a brand that is cutting edge, that is innovating, but can trickle down that stuff into, albeit more affordable ranges, where the bread and butter for dealers really is.
Yeah, race on Sunday, sell on Monday mentality, right?
100%, and that continues to be true.
Yeah, and if you look at our amplifier designs from Mx4, and then you open up a Helix amplifier, even though it's a different class of amplifier, because another quick Germany story with this, we were there and Heinz was showing us the inside of the Mx4 Pro, and then we have one guy that assembles that amplifier. He's been with the company since day one, and that's his job, is to do the final assembly and testing of the Brax amplifiers. So they're both there, wide grins on their face, just beaming like this was their firstborn child sitting in front of us. And Julian, the son, comes up and he says, "Amazing amplifier, Father, but check this out." And he had the M5 DSP amplifier in his hand, and he puts it up to the power supply section. He goes, "My whole amplifier, which is 5-channel with 7 channels of DSP, fits in a space smaller than what your power supply does." And Heinz, careful.
Yeah.
But the excitement for us is we got the best digital technology and the best analog technology and squishing it together. And that's what the Helix brand brings us. But I know we're not talking about Helix.
No, but the analogy is good. It's kind of like having that old school muscle giant V8 in the garage, but also that brand new tech Euro, and kind of finding the best of both worlds.
Yes, yeah, absolute. And when we look at everything that Brax is, from the product design to the product itself to the packaging of the product, and we'll show you some close-ups of these boxes later on. It's just unbelievable.
I'm going to challenge you, Larry.
Yes.
Because I know you love being challenged. It's great. I get it. It's super high-end. I happen to be one of those guys and that'll geek out on all that stuff.
Yeah.
But is there really a market for this? Like, we're talking, like, it's specifically in Canada. I'd love to think there is. I want to hear from you what your thoughts are on that.
Yes, there is. And I'll preface that with a little backstory. I was at AudioArc in Edmonton, who sells a lot of high-end home audio equipment, and I that store I just was in visiting, and we said to the guy, because I was young, and I said, "What's the most expensive system you sold? Who was it to? Like a real rich guy?" And just as the mailman had walked out of the building, he goes, "You see that guy that was just here?" And I said, "Yeah." And he goes, "That guy." And I think we, as a retailer, because we are one, sometimes we think with our own mind and our own passions and our own wallets rather than those who do that. So that mailman at K&W Audio had over $100,000 home audio system. And I happened to grow up with a father who was a mechanic all his life. Instead of getting me a baseball mitt or a new fishing rod, I didn't have that, but I had the first pair of Stax electrostatic headphones on my head that were, at that time, I think $5,000. So you can't decide who your client is. And it's our duty to give you the experience and the knowledge that will allow you to present that to your client, because we never know. And when Chris comes on, we'll go back to that. It's such a passionate story for him to tell you about a client at our store that turned into a very, very good Brax client. But I'll let him tell you that story himself, because it was a pretty emotional moment for him, actually.
Cool.
It's one of those pivotal things. Music is such a powerful tool, and the better ways that we can demonstrate that, and the better gear we can use for that, and the better recording we can use for that, why wouldn't we want to present that to the client?
I think my takeaway from your analogy there is, it's not our job to decide the value that said equipment is to said client. Our job is to probe the customer properly and provide them with the options such that they can go and pursue at which level they feel they need to or want to.
And if we bring up that beauty shot again, Ben, of the black and the silver chassis standing, like, you don't have to understand anything to look at that and go, damn, is that good? It's jewelry. It's audio jewelry.
I'm just going to put up another image here, like this right here, like,
yes,
little things.
Yep. So that serial number that one's showing 000, but that serial number is engraved in each product, and they have a good old-fashioned book. And yes, I did say book. It's not. It's probably on computer too, but they have every amplifier they have listed by serial number of where that amplifier was sold, and if it comes in for service, there is a history of that amplifier serial number and anything that happened with service, so they can judge if they've got a 10-year quality control problem. They're going to know about it.
And from what I hear, it might be that same gentleman that you were describing that does the hand building of all the Brax things. It might be him that built it to begin with, and it's just going right back.
It will be, because there's only ever been one guy.
That's even crazier. He should have a Facebook page.
So isn't that cool? I bought an amplifier 20 years ago, and the guy who built it is fixing it today and sending it back
20 years later. That's nuts. That's pretty cool.
And that's part of the culture of the company, because how you keep a guy like that an employee of the company for 30 years.
I'm going to go back to this. I had another question for you, Larry.
Yeah.
I'm not a huge engineer. Don't ask me. I can't build an amplifier, but I've seen enough of this stuff.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on the left and right side over there. And I'm trying to figure out what is going on there, because I see a lot of really like industrial grade, like bolts holding down parallel on both sides linear. Are those power supplies?
Those are the output ICs, yeah.
Those
output transistors, sorry.
That is super clean. I know for the first thing that catches my eye is the chrome, because I'm silly like that. But that was the second thing that I didn't get a chance to mention previously.
Yeah.
Very, very cool. All right. Keep it going. This is fun.
So I think if Christopher is ready, we're going to actually start showing you some products.
Yeah.
And showing you, the first thing we're going to show you is
I want to wrap my head around this, Larry. MSC has this stuff in stock?
Yes.
Oh, that's crazy. That's amazing.
Yeah, and because
this is not like special order 6 months. This is like,
no. If you want, the only thing that we don't have in stock, because it's done in a bespoke method, is the Brax DSP. So when you order a Brax DSP, the dealer is going to go through with you of how you want it configured, whether you want analog inputs and digital inputs or a mix, how you want to configure the outputs. Do you want the Bluetooth card or the USB card installed? And then they build it for you specifically with the options. Bespoke, yes. You get a certificate of ownership in the box and a T-shirt and all the stuff that goes with it. It's flown over here in that nice, the shoulder.
Yeah. Yeah, one of those crazy wooden
boxes. Comes over to you in that box, and then we.
Oh man, really?
We present it to you. So
the DSP Brax, that's a really cool feature. I did not know that. So that is not an off-the-shelf kind of product.
No. So the speakers and everything, again, everything is 100% built in Germany, including the majority of the componentry inside, because that's our goal. Is it has to be engineered and built in Germany, unless it just isn't. Gotcha. Unless it's not available, then it'll go outsourced. But
that is pretty sick.
Yeah.
Okay, let's keep going.
So I'm going to switch over to Chris here, and we'll start with going back to your client thing of what that meant to Chris and where he really learned on that. You can just keep him on this screen.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
All right. Come on in, Chris. I don't know if you guys are watching this and thought that really cool, but I'm learning some stuff I didn't know was so nutso about Brax. And I'm pretty happy, Chris, that we're actually finally talking. We spent a lot of time talking about Helix and Match, and I feel like it was due that we kind of exposed what Brax was all about. And
yeah, it's a different breed than almost anything else out there. There's the way the products are designed and engineered, the people behind them, their passion for every little detail. I mean, it's so German in that stereotypical way of function, form. Everything matters every step of the way, every little detail. It's just incredible to see what these guys have accomplished and continue to accomplish day after day with this lineup.
I in my short career as retail selling car audio, I did have the opportunity to sell a couple really nice systems. I'm not going to say this type of level, but really nice systems. In my home audio world of sales, I did enjoy a lot of high-end type of gear. And one thing that I've learned, if you want to sell high-end stuff, never judge a book by its cover. Never think anything of the customer from their look, their appearance, or anything of that nature. And I understand you have a story to share that kind of enhances that statement.
Yeah, that was a lesson I learned the hard way many years ago, early in my career, and tried to keep that in mind. So every time somebody walks in, you give them the exact same experience as everybody should get. And lots of retailers kind of fall in the trap of, seeing a certain car come in and thinking things based on that one way or the other. That's something we here at MSC work really hard to make sure that we're providing that same kind of experience to every client that walks in the door. And this particular case, a young woman came in, little Toyota hatchback, nothing crazy, nothing dramatic, but she came into the store one day and we kind of started talking audio and music, and she was just starting her 12-volt career. She wanted to kind of start playing around and explore the hobby a little bit. So she was looking for an upgrade for her little hatchback. We kind of started looking at some different speakers and putting some stuff in her hands, taking a listen to a bunch of different stuff. And as she was listening, she slowly started climbing her way up the display boards and eventually landed on a set of Brax speakers, the graphic line.
And you guys got some pretty good stuff on that board. So, I mean,
yeah,
it's not like she didn't have any selection to choose from.
Correct. Yeah, we ran through, we do a handful of different brands through the retail side of things that she was able to experience. And the Brax was the one that really spoke to her and kind of gave her what she thought she was looking for. So in most cases where you take these, a small Japanese hatchback that comes in, you wouldn't think that a Brax set of speakers is going to be her first choice for a set of speakers. And as time went on,
I would be part of that as well. The back of my mind be thinking, this is going to be a quick deck and four, maybe, some CarPlay or something. You know what I'm saying?
That's, we all talk to a lot of people day after day, and those stereotypes build themselves up. So keeping your head away from that is super important. But as her interest in the products and the category and that hobby continued to grow, she started to build the audio system from there. So she ended up with a Helix V8 driving those speakers, a little Helix subwoofer driving it. So she had a nice Audiotec Fischer system all the way through the car. But once that bug gets you, man, it doesn't let go. And then it came time for the next step. So from there, the V8, the integrated amplifier and DSP came out, and in went to DSP Ultra with a couple of C-series amplifiers. So she moved up to that big power Class AB.
Separate components.
Yep. The high-end DSP to go along with it. And then after a little bit more time, sure enough, out come the graphic, and she moves up to the Matrix series speakers, the flagship. And then that turned into, three-way systems from there, and Brax subwoofer, and the whole thing just elevates all the way to the top of the range. This is still in that little Toyota hatchback.
And what timeline are we talking about here?
I think her total upgrade path was probably about 6 months or so, 8 months,
so
something
relatively
like that.
Fast.
Yeah, I mean, for most do-it-yourselfers, she picked up all this gear and did every aspect of the installation herself, building all of her mounts, fiberglassing
she installed
the molds.
Everything? You guys didn't install? Oh, you just sold her the gear.
Yeah, this was something that she really wanted to embrace and kind of make a hobby and explore and have some fun with. She's got that engineering brain in the background, so for her, the installation and figuring out how to apply the products, the vehicle, the acoustic knowledge that she was learning, and put all of that together into a single package was the fun. That's what she was chasing. And as we were kind of working through this, there was a spot where she wanted to start getting a better handle on the tuning. So she asked if we would tune the car for her, but she wanted to be a part of it. So we said, yeah, you know what? She's super passionate. She's fired up about this. Let's do it. We'll book some time. She came in, dropped the car off. She sat in the car and we did the tuning side of things. And she was asking some questions, trying to get a handle on, what we're doing. Why are we making those decisions? What's influencing that? And kind of going through that. So we spent a few hours tinkering with the car. And then after, we swapped seats, put her in the driver's seat, and she got her first listen to it after we had kind of dialed it all in there. And she was really happy, loved the way it was coming together in there, and kind of started to open up. We were talking a little bit about what, how she ended up in this, and she said this was really important to her. It was one of those things that she'd kind of always wanted, loved music, wanted to put this together in the car. And as we're sitting there, she reaches into her purse and she pulls out this little card, and it was a survivor's card. She had basically just finished a battle with cancer successfully, fortunately, but she was able to beat that and decided to use that as the reason to, why are we mucking around not having the things we want when and
enjoy life a little bit.
Nothing's guaranteed. So that for me was just a massively heart-wrenching moment of, just, man, this is the kind of stuff. Everybody's going through something. Everybody needs this for some reason. For some, it's just because it's fun and we like our tunes a little bit louder than what the factory can offer. But for some people, it is an absolute emotional aspect that helps them get through every single day and helps put up a whole different spin on life. So for me, that kind of stuff was just so humbling and kind of reminding us how much joy and how much fun there is. And when I look at the experience that a Brax product can do in creating those emotional experiences and bringing that stuff to life and really speaking to people, there's no better.
What's the value on that?
Yeah, that's, none of this stuff's cheap. I mean, none of it's anything that we absolutely need. It doesn't keep food on the table. It's not keeping blankets on the beds or anything like that. But the mental health, the emotional aspects of it all, and keeping a smile on our faces, that's what this stuff does. And to me, there's no way around it.
And who are we to judge? Because you just never know.
That's exactly it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Very cool. Thank you for sharing that with us, Chris.
Yeah.
I got confused for a second because I'm talking to Chris, but I see Larry on the screen. Yeah, absolutely. Very, very cool. All right.
So yeah, we've got a cool lineup with the Brax stuff, a whole bunch of different products. One of the big things, if you look behind me here, you see all these different crates. Every single Brax product comes with a wood crate. That's how they're delivered. Actually, I think Larry's got us queued up on the other camera there, if you can, Ben. This is the kind of stuff that these guys look at when we talk about the overall package, every ounce of it. It's not just the product. It's not just what's in the box. It's not just the connectors. It's everything. Even the packaging with these guys is extremely well thought out, well engineered. And they want you, when you buy a Brax product, to know that you're buying a premium. So when you look at things like this crate, you get the beautiful dovetail corners on there. But I look at the little things. The first thing I noticed when this box was put in my hands was the fact that these sides, these tops, everything, even though that top piece and that bottom piece are separate, they're all cut from a single piece of wood. So that grain actually wraps all the way around, top to bottom. So when you've got an absolute craftsman that's building these things, it's not just something slapped together. It's not a little Chinese factory. You open the Brax DSP box.
Is that silk screen or burnt or
laser?
Laser on the
yep.
Okay, yep.
So you open these up inside the Brax DSP. So you get your order sheet that tells you exactly what you had spec'd in terms of analog and digital inputs and outputs. They give you the specifications on all of those in terms of signal to noise ratio kind of stuff, all of their dynamic range measurements. You get your certificate of authenticity. Those are hand signed by Heinz and Julian. So you're getting something that is actually backed by the CEO and the founder of the companies. Mm-hmm. Get the vacuum packed Brax inside the laser cut foam, all the toolings that you need for it, the little Allen keys for making your cable connections, everything is in there. serialized on the box
Oh,
itself.
and
So your
look, you have the
box,
option between black and silver.
yes. So all the Brax electronics products come in either a black finish or a silver finish.
Okay.
The black is kind of the most popular by far, but the silver just has this stunning machine finish to it. It's just absolutely gorgeous.
That's pretty pimp.
Yeah. So, and then as we go through the other side of things, one of my favorite pieces that we were put in our hands was, this is the graphic tweeter. So this is a ceramic dome tweeter on these guys in the full machined housing. Just absolutely beautiful piece of art in your hands. The threaded backing on it, that little back plate on there threads on, but that's what actually holds in. They do as a lot of tweeters do, they'll have a filling or a foam or something, a cotton in behind the scenes, just to help with the acoustic damping of the backside inside that enclosure. These guys, Heinz actually sourced a very specific breed of lamb's wool that is right there in Schmallenberg to use inside that housing. So the tweeter, the whole assembly is like everything else. It is just absolutely coated
lamb's wool?
In Germany. Lamb's wool, yeah, is what they used inside there. And you're left with this super incredible sound, nice and detailed. The ceramic dome, hard dome on those guys gives you a little bit more of a high frequency sparkle, a little bit higher frequency extension than you get with a silk dome. This was a tweeter that they've reintroduced. They had a hard dome back through the late 90s into the early 2000s that had a massively loyal following. Everybody loved it. And when they moved to the silk dome for the Matrix line, based on their preferred sound and kind of it hitting the targets that they wanted to hit with a Brax speaker, there was so much feedback getting from their end use consumers saying, yeah, the Matrix is a beautiful tweeter, but that hard dome, that ceramic dome had something special that we miss. So
is it like a signature sound or tone?
Yeah, it just had this little characteristic to it that people absolutely loved. And that kind of triggered the whole Brax brand to kind of separate out into two different categories. So on the one side, they've got the Matrix line, which is all about that acoustic perfection. This is all about the absolute premier, best of the best, what is physically possible. The other side is the graphic side, which pulls a little bit more of the emotional aspects to it. You know, there's a little bit of extra warmth in the sound of the amplifiers, the ceramic dome tweeter that has a little extra sparkle up on top that caters a lot to some of the personal preferences that are out there. This is the Matrix tweeter here. So similar in terms of its design, similar magnetic grill. Both of these guys use a magnetic mesh that sits over top of the tweeter. This is the larger diaphragm silk dome tweeter on it. So this is in that Matrix line that's more designed to be acoustically spot on, kind of give you that nice refined home audio type sound.
It's so German, Chris.
Yeah, it is just
the precision tooling, the machining, the aluminum, like it's so German. That's all I have to say about that.
Yeah, and they've done, I mean, that kind of stuff is just so insanely good. When you look up close and personal at the finishing, you get hands-on, you get that touchy-feely aspect that you are getting a really premier product in your hands. So to me, when you're buying these kinds of things, you know, you look at the brands that build products at this level, whether it's a Rolex, you know, we're not talking about the Lambos, the Porsches. This is the Bugatti of the world. This is on just another level where every aspect, every ounce of this thing matters, and they did not miss at all.
That looks to be about a 3-inch.
That's correct. Yeah, this is the graphic 3-inch mid-range. So both Matrix and Graphics offer their tweeter, 3-inch mid-range, 6-inch mid-bass driver as well. So this guy here, all of the graphic cones, these guys are all built in Germany. These guys are using a paper base, but then they've got a glass mica coating on top of them to add some rigidity to them without adding a bunch of weight to it. So you've got a really rigid, very dynamic, very lightweight cone that gives you everything you need for accurate sound reproduction as well.
Sweet. So DSP.
Yep.
Amplifier. There's no integrated DSP amplifiers.
Correct. Because we are all about, in this line, this is the best of the best.
This
Convenience.
Is this is all a la carte.
Convenience is out the window. We're chasing the best. We're chasing that last 1% of what's possible here.
Right. Every option available, whatever combination.
Yeah, exactly. That's the kind of stuff that allows us to do some really, really cool things. With the matrix side of things, this is the 6-inch here. So we actually do 2 different versions of the 6 in the matrix series, depending on what your configuration is in the application. So this case, this is the ML6P, P meaning phase plug. So on the front side of this guy, you've got the fully machined aluminum phase plug there. The ML6D uses a dust cap in that location. So in this particular case, if you're running a 2-way system, that phase plug is going to help improve some of the off-axis response, to reduce some of the beaming effects, to give you help hone in on the imaging side of things if you're limited to a 2-way. We also make the ML6D that has that dust cap, so if you're running a 3-way system, that extra cone area is going to give you a little bit lower resonance frequency and a little bit more cone area for some extra jam on that side of things. So
absolutely.
With that, we knew that one 6-inch driver wasn't going to give us the performance in both applications. So that's why it absolutely necessitated 2 different drivers.
All right. So tweeters,
tweets, threes, yep, tweets, threes, sixes. The matrix side also gets the 8-inch mid-bass driver. So we've got a dedicated monster. And that's what actually ended up in that little Toyota hatchback, was an 8-inch mid-bass driver and sealed enclosures in the doors.
Oh, so her sub, she went with an 8. Interesting.
Well, she went with an 8 in the front doors and then the 10-inch in the back in this little Toyota hatch. The car was just absolutely unbelievable when it was all said and done. But the 8-inch comes with the exact same concept of design, the same, that is our exclusive design basket on those guys, our cone material. You can see the nice long throw surround. You look at the big magnet motor structure, lots of ventilation. This thing is built to go.
All right. What's the power handling on like the 8s and 10s? Just for
the 8-inch mid-bass driver is pretty much all of it. The 10 is even more. Both of these guys have been put through the paces. We've had dealers running the Mx4 Pro bridged to these mid-bass drivers, which is 600 RMS by 2 in that configuration, and
no problem.
It doesn't care. It just continues to let it wail.
Those are light taps.
Yeah, exactly.
Love taps. All
yeah.
Right.
So the speaker line, it's full. There's lots going on to it. You've got 2 different stories to talk about in terms of the tonal characteristics. So they really accentuate each other and cater to 2 different people's personal tastes in the sound aspects of it. The amplifier is very similar. That graphic line gives you something warmer, but the Matrix series, amplifier is just on another planet. It's almost 30 pounds of German engineering. It is an absolute monster. It is
style.
300 by 4 RMS with a signal to noise ratio of north of 116 dB.
300 by 4?
Yeah.
At 4 ohm?
At 4 ohm. 4, 2, or 1, actually. It's 1 ohm stable on that side of things. The regulated power supply keeps it making full power across the board on that thing.
All I can think about is what that sounds like with an active set up front with that. Oof.
Yeah, it's wild. We've had lots of guys that are doing multiples of those, so they'll do 2 of them, 1.5 to drive a chair, Larry. One of those guys to run a tweeter in a mid-range, one of them running mid-bass drivers with the back end bridged to run the 10-inch subwoofer on the other side of things. Right. And there's just so much headroom, so much dynamic energy. It is complete and utter insanity. So Larry, there's the Mx4 Pro right there. So this thing is an absolute beast. It's about 15 inches square on either side.
It's and then clean, like design-wise.
Yeah, just again, German through and through. So the engineering side of things.
That looks heavy.
So the other really unique thing about Brax in this particular amplifier in conjunction with the DSP is this guy has digital inputs on it.
I see that, yeah.
So what a lot of companies do with digital inputs is you're going to go through and feed that into the amplifier, but of course you've got to control that somehow, whether you're using crossovers, if you want to equalize time align, all of that kind of stuff's got to be factored in. So that amplifier in conjunction with our Brax DSP, that allows us to control and keep a full digital signal chain all the way through from the source potentially, if we're using our USB direct input to our Brax DSP, digital signal through, digital down to the amplifier, and that last digital to analog conversion, the only digital to analog conversion happens at the amplifier stage. But at that point, we have one major limitation, and that is volume control. In
Mhm.
digital, we don't have volume control. All we have is bit compression. And as soon as we do that, we've taken our nice high-res audio feed, that 24-bit feed, or even a 16-bit off a CD or a WAV file or something like that, and we start stripping those bits of information out. We're actually just compressing everything down. We're losing all of our dynamic range, which is why we spent all this money on great audio. So we went one step further. We had to find a way to solve that problem, and that solution is called Dysac. What Dysac does is we actually send a control signal through Toslink or coax. So in those formats of audio transmission, there is not only audio signal, but we found a way to transmit data information as well. So when you're using something like our conductor or director through our Brax DSP and you turn that volume control down, you're not compressing the bits in the DSP like most companies are doing. We're actually sending that control command and affecting the analog output signal of the amplifier. So we have 0-bit compression going through there.
You're not compressing by adjusting volume.
Exactly. When you turn the volume down, we're turning down the voltage in the amplifier at the outputs. We're not affecting the signal in any way. So no matter how you're listening to your system, we have got a fully digital signal all the way through, one signal digital to analog conversion at the output, 0-bit compression as a result of volume. So that's the kind of stuff that went into designing the best of the best of the best.
It's a data-based volume control through Toslink.
Correct.
Got it.
So we didn't have to go through and invent a bunch of proprietary connections and cables and plugs and all of this kind of stuff. This is a good old-fashioned Toslink cable or coax cable, whatever you're using in your particular application. Both the Brax DSP and the Mx4 Pro amplifier accept and work with both. So whatever's going into that system, you have the ability to control that. And with the Brax DSP having the ability to do both a Bluetooth direct and a high-res USB direct input on them, we give the client the ability to have those sources and now take full advantage across the board. All of those products in the Brax lineup in that signal chain use 32-bit 192 kilohertz processing in there as a native support structure. So you can integrate these into a factory head unit, an aftermarket head unit, a separate high-res portable player like an Estelle & Kern or a Fio or Sony Walkman or anything like that, and have zero compromise in any of those signal chains, plus all the benefits of the power, the DSP, and everything that goes along with it.
Yeah, that is for the purists. I mean, it's so important. And for those of you who understand what Chris is talking about, I hope you do. I even do. So I think he explained it really well. You know, again, Larry kind of stated that in the beginning of this session, whereby it's not about coloring the signal or adding any type of anything to the signal. It's about in and out and maximizing. And I think to your point, that's exactly what that whole feature is about.
That's exactly what it is. I mean, that feature alone, to develop that technology, that's something that's existed in the Toslink feed since it came out, since Toshiba launched that product.
Just not in car audio.
Not anywhere.
Oh, anywhere.
Nobody has taken advantage of that ability of that signal up to this point. So when we learned that this existed, we said, why is nobody using this thing? So not only did we decide to start reworking Brax DSP, because it was already about 3 to 3.5 years in development when this idea came to the forefront. So we started adapting and shifting and finding a way to incorporate that in there. But having that included in the DSP doesn't do us any good if we don't have something on the other end to control.
Right. There's only one way. You need both ends. Gotcha.
We need the transmitting side and the receiving side. So that necessitated Brax? That is only Brax at this point. Only at Brax. This point.
Exclusive. Oh, very cool.
Yeah, and that is Mx4 Pro only.
Mx4 Pro only.
Yeah. So the cool thing is with the Brax DSP is you can actually turn these features on and off. So if you're using an Mx4 Pro, say, to run your front stage, but you've got a previous gen MX2 on there, you can still go through and use the Dysac control on your front end and not on that secondary amplifier. So this whole system is entirely programmable and tailorable to your system. So if you're using Mx4 Pro for tweeter mid-range and one for mid-bass and rears, but you've got that MX2 on the back end on the subwoofer, you can disable Dysac just for that subwoofer
Just
channel.
for the sub.
So you can take advantage of it across the board. That kind of feeds back into that continuity and that continued support. They didn't want to launch a feature that left every other Brax amplifier owner out in the rain.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, sorry, man. I know you spent thousands of dollars on your amplifiers, but there's a new one out. You got to have it. That's not
That's
what
the
this
Apple
is about.
way. That's the Apple way.
Yeah, exactly. So being able to support these guys and continue this whole thing running in the long term has been, to me, that's a massive testament into how they treat their customers and how much they value and honor these people's decisions to buy Brax products. They don't want to leave them out hanging high and dry. They want to make sure that they've got products that go on forever.
Here's my final. We're nearing the end of the show. Here's my 2 cents that I want to express. Oh, hold on. Larry wants to show something. Let's go ahead and show it.
So the other side of Mx4 Pro, because that is the biggest of the big boy, but we talked about the graphic side of things as well. This has been the traditional Brax amplifier. This is the design of the first Brax amp. So this is the graphic series. 2-channel and 4-channel on these guys here. Absolutely stunning. These were the first Brax products I had ever seen, and I will never forget absolutely falling in love. The build quality of these things, you get hands-on with the heatsink, the machining work that's done on them, the terminals, the connectors, everything about those is just absolute artwork. And to have that Brax line, that same feeling, that same attention to detail in a package that's a little bit more affordable than the Mx4 side of things. A substantial drop down in the dollars and cents of it.
But still Brax level. Still
Brax level fit and finish. Still Brax level components. Still maintains that whole theory that is the Brax lineup. But this side has a little bit more of the emotional aspects. This has been, I say, a little bit more car audio fun factor to it. Still hyper detailed, tons and tons of power behind these things, but a little bit warmer sound on these guys, a little bit more traditionally enjoyable. Whereas the Matrix side of things, that is chasing the utmost in terms of perfection.
Gotcha. What I was trying to say before is something that it kind of hit me when, as we were talking and presenting today. In the entire industry, I've had the opportunity to sit down with just about every brand available in North America at this point.
Yep.
And I will say this. I can only think of very few, maybe only one at this point, of a brand that operates and provides products at such a level, all encompassing all categories under one manufacturer brand.
Yep.
So, I mean, like you have presented today a Brax brand that is at the absolute pinnacle of the range,
yep.
Right? DSP processing, amplification, full range speakers, subwoofer, right? 4
yep.
categories, all under the same Brax line. And there's a value to that. There is a
yes.
value to that, and there is an exclusivity to that, because like I said, as I sit here, maybe one more. Comments if you think I'm wrong, but I don't think I am.
No, I know. Like anything, there's a lot of great brands and a lot of great products out there, but we're firm believers in what Audiotec Fischer has done with the Brax line, from tying in the arguably the most advanced, most capable, easiest to set up DSP on the face of the planet. The Mx4, the Matrix line amplifiers, have been widely regarded for more than a decade as the best sounding amplifier on the face of the planet. To tie in technologies, brand new exclusive technologies like Dysac, integrating in speakers that are targeting the level that they are. I mean, when these guys design products, they're not out seeing what everybody else is building and see how do we match up against that, or how do we beat those specs. It's the best. I don't care what anybody else is doing. I don't care what market it is. This is a group of passionate engineers and product designers that are just going after creating real music, the emotional aspects of it, the technical aspects of it, and providing a system top to bottom that's capable of doing that stuff, that works in conjunction and complements the rest of the lineup. So to me, I haven't seen anything that touches on the quality of product, the capabilities of product, the full categories, the build quality, the delivery aspects, that touchy-feely, warm, fuzzy feeling you get, that pride of ownership. I haven't seen it anywhere else, and I mean,
let's just say it is a very exclusive and small, tiny, itty mini, very small club that can even play in those realms. And certainly Brax is in that club. You know, I'm going to throw this up. I didn't get a chance earlier, but I think everybody knows if you're looking at Audiotec Fischer products, whether you're in Canada or the US, msc-america.com. That's the Canadian number right there. I'm sure if you go to the website, there's the American number. Guys, Larry, great Vanna White job today. Appreciate that. That was nice. Listen, we're at the end of the show. I think we got mission accomplished. If anybody wants to know what Brax is all about, you can watch back the show. The guys did a great job telling you about the story, the raison d'etre of the brand, you know, what it's about, those wicked boxes and all the engineering. Any last message, or Larry or Chris, that you have for anybody tuning in?
No, I mean, it's always fun. There's so many details to this brand, this aspect. I mean, we could talk for days alone on just Mx4 Pro, just Dysac. I mean, it's relentless. So for people who have questions, the MSC team is always here, whether it's here or the Phoenix office. I mean, we eat, sleep, and breathe this stuff. So anything anybody wants to know, let us know.
Wicked. Larry, I don't know if you're on the mic or not, or you can hear us. Thank you so much for your time. Oh, I want to say bye to Larry.
We'll pass the headset.
Yeah, there you go. I was just saying thank you for the presentation today, and for you know, honestly, for fueling this passion with incredible product, which is super hyper exclusive. And let's be honest, not everybody in the world would open up a distributor and invest this kind of money with this kind of product and roll the dice. So congrats to you on
Well,
that.
thanks. We appreciate everybody's support that has done it. We sell more of this than I ever thought possible as well, especially the Brax DSP. That's been a hit for us, and I want to say thank you to all our dealers for your support. We appreciate everything you do for us. And also, Ben, I want to say that we're super excited on this the fall workshops.
Mm-hmm.
We start working on that tomorrow, actually. And we got something real special.
Oh, you're not going to tell us what you're going to do.
No,
I kind of know, but I'm not going to say it. We're going to wait. But it's going to be a real worthwhile, I would say. If you're in the business of selling DSPs, I would say this session, mark it down. Schedule's coming out probably next week with actual details, but the MSC section will be worth your time if you're into, you know, if you're interested in making money. It's not a big deal.
Yeah,
that's all.
That's right.
All right, guys. Thank you.
All right. Take care, guys. Bye.
All right. That was awesome. Finally got a Brax under the belt and got a chance to dig deep on that brand. Shout out to the MSC guys for that. Audiotec Fischer, if you're interested, of course, contact MSC. Whether you're in Canada or the US, they're going to hook you up with Brax, Helix, and even a match, all three in the range for Audiotec Fischer. Let's see, what are we? We are Wednesday today. I'm coming back to you. Well, I'll tell you what, I want to circle back. You're going to hear me talking about a lot. Larry just mentioned it. It's CMA Fall Workshops coming to you September 13th to 19th. We just released a whole bunch of details today. Every day is a theme, guys. So take a look at the schedule. Each day is a different theme, whether it's remote start or lighting, or if you're into ADAS or if you're into DSP, there's going to be a day in there where you're going to want you and your team to tune in and learn. Make sure you check out CanadianMobileAudio.com for more details. Hey, thanks for tuning into this lunchtime learning session. This is, of course, CMA Connected, presented by SiriusXM. I'm your host, Ben Wu. You guys have a great week. Until next time, we connect.